Hey, Tron, what up? Tron, what up? Yeah, you gotta turn my volume down. It sounded like the mic was okay, despite the fact that I ripped it off and walked away with it last time. So the thing about this is, it turns out if I edit this, like if I go on and we have this preliminary talk and blah blah, and I don't just bang right into the stream, and I cut out the front end of it, the chat replay gets deleted. That's, I guess, for whatever reason, YouTube can't keep the two of them in sync. So the second that you make an edit and cut the front end out of a video to try and, you know what I mean, make it like a little bit crisper, it just bombs. I don't know. It would take a lot more, uh, a lot more subscribers for me to bother worrying about that. So whatever. But yeah, I mean, I gotta, it's the early days. I gotta slog it. I posted on the old YouTube channel. Hopefully, whatever. Some of those people saw it, and we'll sub up, because without the chat and without people participating, it's not gonna go anywhere. But I gotta give it time, right? That's what our good friend says. Anyway, for watching, this is on fire. Be here all night. Yeah, I mean, the idea is, obviously gonna have to come in. Millie in the house, the band. The man, the myth. What's up? Dan, oh my gosh, it's so good to see you online again. It's been like 6 years. I mean, wow. I saw you with the follow on the record label on Twitter, man. It's good to see you around. It's been a long time. But yeah, we're playing in Boise tonight. Shouts out Boise, Idaho. Can't go. We're 2 for 2 on streams talking about Idaho. So, um, yeah, Boise. Tell us about in the chat. What club? Like I haven't played a show or toured since I was in my 20s. So like I have no idea what's going on in Boise, Idaho. That's sick that you booked a gig there, man. Go Millie. Millie is Team MutualSkies, although not one of our artists. We are not working with Millie, but they've had members of one of our bands that we've worked with played with them uh, on their last tour, I think, right? So, yep, yeah. The record label we run, there's a few people involved in this. It's called MutualSkies. The Twitter is linked off this channel. And this channel was an idea we had, to get me back out there. It's been a long time, but also because YouTube introduced this new thing called handles, and so we were able to get used CDs, and we thought it was funny, and we just do it. But anyway, yeah, we're coming up on 7. I'll have to get started. Do I see much? David Gray, White Ladder. Oh yeah, White Ladders would be, I mean, if the original article I had written about the most common used CDs took into account the rest of world, or if I knew anything about it, like, yeah, White Ladder would be an Ash. We talked about 1977 last time. White Ladder would be way up there, and it's a great record. But the thing is like, he's got like 4 greatest hits collections. So, I mean, look, I mean, I think it's the one of 2 albums he did that are strong enough, like, to be worth owning on their own, particularly if you're talking charity shop and it's like $2.99. I think that's worth it. So yeah, it's a record I love. White Ladder's got a pre-gap track. Yeah, that's another CD phenomenon staple, is messing with the indexing in tracks. So every track has the beginning of a CD has a 2-second buffer. Like, that's machined in the Red Book. You have to have that. And that's another thing about us doing a record label now, is like, I forgot, making DDPs and all the technical stuff with CDs has been fun to get back into. But you can do that on any track. Any track can have a 2-second, has a 2-second lead in if you let it play naturally in the old world. And what some bands did is they'd hide stuff in it. So the Lemonheads have a whole song that only exists if you go to like track 6 on Come On Feel the Lemonheads and hit the rewind button on the CD. My CD player doesn't have a jog rewind. It only has track to track. so I can't even get it. But yeah, if you rewind in the indexing, there's an entire song or stupid thing in there. It's like bands used to want to put songs on track 69 on their CD, and Mercury Rev famously did this on Your Self-Esteem, I believe. It goes all the way up to the highest track, which is 99, and that's where Car Wash Hair rather is. Nine Inch Nails did it. Obviously, I'm sure Marilyn Manson did it. I don't even freaking know. But anyway, yeah, Christmas music $50 cart. Yeah, that's easy. I mean, dying for themes. We're gonna table that. That will definitely go off. We're gonna need themes. I mean, the intention with this is to make this be like a bang it out 1 hour. I'm gonna show you like a sort of technique that I always use to identify what might be a good store, and just blow through some CDs, and that'll be it. On the screen I have the most expensive sales. This is also something we should probably like goof on, because it's literally going to be 20 years ago shortly, but 15 years ago, I was doing a blog after I left Pitchfork called Shallow Rewards, and it was about overpriced and stupid, crazy sales on eBay. That's what I started out writing about. Really, I mean, in the blog era in like 03, 04, that's, when we all started doing that independently. And there's actually an ebook on Amazon for that Shallow Reward stuff. I don't even know if I'm charging for it. I haven't looked at it in so long, but it's a EPUB I made myself, and it's been out there forever. But it's got a whole bunch of the pages from that blog, which like you can go into archive.org on the internet and look it up if you want to, whatever. Been trying the method for the Cocteau Twins, found some sellers, haven't pulled the trigger. Yeah, it's tough, Follow the Leader has 12 tracks of silence. Yeah, all that crap. It's so silly. So yeah, Bohemian Rhapsody. I mean, so I used to track this kind of thing as a way to give me a topic to write about. That was the whole problem. Like, you get it, like, why would I continue writing? And like, what would inspire me to write? And so I would track eBay auctions of stuff, and I had all these crazy filters and searches. Oh yeah, a Harvey Danger record on Universal Special Markets, a repress, is sold for $260. That's got to be someone in the band. This must have been in really good nick. Get the Lamb 2LP. Oh, it was the 01. Genesis people are crazy. Like, they're big about which remaster they're getting. So like the 01 stuff, that's not, I don't know what master that is. That's a really weird one. They're not sick, but they're not well. Very good. Anyway, so yeah, finding what's a method that yeah, they're getting caught editing their own wiki article, buying their rare whatever. So like, what's a way to find a good store really quick? One of the things I do all the time when I'm trying to figure out what a good store would be is look for something relatively obscure. And like, look, I'm totally like a typical underground rock, post-punk, whatever person, goth, all that shit. Like, I've got a wide variety of music I enjoy and stuff, but in terms of the collecting and the CD thing, it's really about like, when you look at CDs and when they were dominant and, where the value is, it does track pretty heavily with a time period. So one of the things that can really help is if you find something relatively obscure, but then you find it's in a store that's pretty big, because it means like they're not just a warehouse with a bunch of, REM Monster CDs and, U2's Discotheque or whatever, like all the basic stuff. Like, sure, the basic stuff is great because that's where you can get an enormous haul of like 80 CDs for $120 shipped or something stupid. You know what I mean? That's great, but like a lot of that is strictly collecting. A lot of that is building your, physical catalog of CDs for yourself to have your little, library or whatever. When you're talking about stuff you would actually want, stuff that's actually great, it's much harder to to get a bag out of one store and identify a store that's going to have, a bunch of great stuff. One of the things I do, which we'll do now, is look for something, obscure and underground from like 85 to 95, let's say. What's a good artist? Like, and some of them aren't obscure enough to be a good all right, I'm going to do Bitch Magnet. So this was the band before Seam, Young Park was in, and they have this album here has been reissued a bunch of times, and there's like a box set now with all three of them. Ben-Hur, this album's phenomenally good. I mean, whatever. Like, Albini produced it. He didn't really produce it. He cleaned it up, and he kind of mocked it. Well, he mocks everything, but it's like, it's a college band. Like, Slint is sort of like kids, like, despite how good they were. And Ben-Hur is like significantly shakier, especially on the early records, than, Seam was later, because you end up getting like Brad Wood and other people in there, and they're getting better over time as players. So, like, Ben-Hur isn't even really like a good record to choose because it's pretty Starbooty. All right, let's pick Starbooty. So 43 copies of this for sale, probably mostly vinyl. US only 11. This is gonna be tough. All right, and it's all vinyl, but that's okay. We got 11 copies of this record on vinyl. Stores that are gonna have this, if they're big. So right here, here's a store. I don't know. They're asking high side, but clearly lots of ratings. These are big stores, so we can take a look and see what they've got. And one of the cool things, here's another one. One of the cool things that can happen is, like, why would a big store stock something like this? It's just an indication that they tend to have, good stock. Yeah, no, a lot of people didn't. I mean, talk about bands that got no profile, no press, never, like, yeah, Bitch Magnet really was way under the radar. I mean, it's like, the bands that people were in before they formed Chavez and stuff, like, the Chaves. So, like, there's an absolutely crazy, that's like 27,000 ratings on this. That's nuts. But like here, you can see this is probably a personal seller. Not a great target for value buy. These are probably personal sellers. But like, you could go in there and every record is just going to be some amazing, like, it's probably like they've got 81. Yeah, like, and it's all like completely sick, Edge, like killer 7 inches underground shit, like, you knew what this was going to be. Like, this person's got like a great bundle of good shit that like a head would want to pick up. But when we're talking about buying for value and buying UCDs, that's not really a great target. Downtown Music Gallery. Okay, so right off the top, this is probably a big, yeah, they're selling everything at list. So this is not, right, like this is literally going to a record store. Sealed copy of Pentastar, $15, on Sub Pop, great, but we're not here to shop retail. So I'm going to rule that one out. That's a non-starter. Noise in Your Head, I've seen this store many times. Also, very high ticket stuff in many cases, and heavily, yeah. So this is monster vinyl. They barely have any CDs. Now that could work to your advantage potentially, but it's probably going to be high ticket, stuff and box sets. A couple things, but nothing's jumping out at me. Yeah, definitely not jumping out at me. Preston School of Industry. Woof. Yeah, this isn't really. The prices are okay, but they're not great. Anna Music 2. Tons of ratings. What do we got? Another one that's massively vinyl focused, and that's fine. What kind of CDs do they have? What prices are they, more importantly? Because we're not going to get a bag out of, like, paying $8, $2.99, $3.99, $50 for the Bedhead Numero box. That ain't bad. I mean, no box set is really ever going to be great in terms of what people ask for them, but it's the CD version. I mean, not to bag on Numero too much, but the vinyl of this was a disaster. The holes were offset wrong, so like literally brand new out of the box, the vinyl would like skip, and people had warped copies. Like, it was just, they went to the wrong plant. Something went wrong with the vinyl box set for Bedhead on Numero, and it was very loudly and publicly slammed. I don't understand. I mean, look, Bedhead was a 7-inch band. I mean, I have What Fun Life Was on 12-inch because it's a beautiful object and it was one of my favorite records in the 90s. But I've got all the original 7-inches because that's really where on vinyl, Bedhead was interesting. You had the Dark Ages EP, but all this stuff was on CD at the same time. Trance Syndicate was putting it out on CD EPs and stuff. And so, there's no way I would definitely say Bedhead is a CD band. I mean, that's what they were out on. That's what I was listening to them on at the time. And, this box set's got all their stuff. Personally, I don't like the box set. You can still get Bedhead's original material for not that much money. And I would say if you were interested in them, just like go collect the 7-inches as you're going, because they've got good art, they've got good presence, good text, etc. But so that's not bad. What else do they have? Suzanne Vega's 9 Objects of Desire. That's a little after where I would go with her. The Hissy Fits, $3.99. I don't know. Oh yeah, there you go. Peter Gabriel's So. That's an all-timer. I mean, that's a no-brainer. If you don't have that, it's just everywhere. It's not a problem. Ken Shipley's going to be pissed the Numero box is going for under 50. Yeah, I'm sure. So is a vinyl all-timer. Yeah, sure. I mean, it's 80s, but I actually disagree. So is right when CD takes off. Like the big CDs I think about that were early CDs that remind me of CD becoming a real thing. So is absolutely one of them. Another would be like In Excess's Kick. The Police's Greatest Hits from '86. That's another one where I think about like CDs being a thing. A Tooth and Nail sampler. All right. Lollapalooza 93 comp. Yeah, there's some interesting stuff here. So this is Sony. So this is going to be I'm guessing all the Sony bands and Columbia and stuff. Yeah, Dinosaur Jr. Going Home. That was the song off that record too. I mean, in a way, it was one of the 3 or 4 best ones. He's My Thing, Babes. This Lollapalooza was the last. No, it was the second. I went to this one in '94 and then I stopped going because it just got stupid. Isn't So the moment CD mastering was finally done properly? Yeah, it's one of the first CDs that was really mastered to the potential. Peter Gabriel So of the format for sure. It's not brick wall, but Brothers in Arms is another one right around that time. Yep, absolutely. That Dire Straits Brothers in Arms. The man's too big, the man's too strong. Yeah, that record's fidelity is unbelievable. So Far Away on that album is one of my favorite songs ever. Like, it's so bizarre. It's like out of tune. The guitar effects are crazy. I've talked about it before, probably in live streams. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if you could really put something together from here. Best of Buffalo Springfield for $3.99 on ACO. That's not bad. Vans Warped Tour. Oh, They Might Be Giants Flood. And John Henry. This isn't bad. Well, we could stick around here. So you get the best of Culture Club. Culture Club is such the first 2 Culture Club records are so phenomenal front to back. I can't recommend it strongly enough. My collection of memorabilia is pretty nuts, actually. I've got all kinds of weird little Culture Club things, like this completely awesome little pin. And little things like that, and I have the picture disc of Color by Numbers and the VHS of A Kiss by the Ocean and all this stuff. I'm a huge fan. Of Boy George. I did a 2-part video on the old Shallow Rewards videos about him and about that moment, that he had and that the band had. And if you haven't read his book, he has like 3, but the first one I think is called Boy. It's phenomenal. You really want to get it. Like, it's just the right blend of honesty, personal narrative, and like dish. So yeah, Boy George. Is the Kraftwerk CD box worth it? No, not in my view. The last 2 or 3 records sucked, and also the mastering is really hotly debated. I would definitely not. If you're talking about what's it called, like the 3D something, um, the 3D project or something. I remember what you're talking about. It was a really big deal that Kraftwerk was getting a box set and all that. But to me, I don't. Their catalog is not, it's not all great to me. I'm not like diehard crazy for them. I'm not diehard crazy for any band. Every band has bad shit. Can has crap records. Everyone does. Like, unless you broke up after the third album, they were all good. Like, Noi pretty much did that. Numero Group is going to be really busy. Yeah, they're going to definitely be doing, like I talked about it in the last stream, they're going to have a whole bunch of 90s alt because it's just blowing up for them and they have better bands out there. I'm a Celeb is big, but we can't get it. No, we don't get, I mean, you can get BBC, BritBox, and there's ways to get it, but I'm a celeb in terms of like being a cultural, it's like the Bake Off or, QI or whatever, all that Oxbridge shit. None of that stuff is over here except for Anglophile idiots like me. I mean, that's, that's me. Like I fall asleep to Travel Man with like, Iowade and Mel, like drinking chartreuse. But that's me. Anyway, this is an interesting store. We're seeing some interesting stuff. Oh, wow. Weird. So Buffalo Springfield is a weird one if you're into old like head hippie proto stuff. What do we got? For What It's Worth, Sit Down, I Think I Love You, Clancy Can't Even Sing, and Expecting to Fly. Yeah, this is kind of short. I mean, there's better comps. This was a very early Atco cash-in. There's better ways to get it. Yeah, Top Gear. Top Gear is massive in America. That's true. That blew through. You'll Ride or Die for Electric Cafe. All right, that's cool. No harm, no foul. What vino am I enjoying? It's dog shit, Table Wine. So They Might Be Giants Flood. Sorry. They Might Be Giants has got a 2 CD set called, I think it's called like Then or something. Or Back Then. What the hell is it called? I'll just pull them up. It's a compilation of the first 2 albums from 86 and 88. What the hell? Then, the earlier years, this is it. So Restless was their original label. In the first stream you saw I was wearing an Anna Ng shirt that we produce. We have a store linked in the Twitter account for the record label MutualSkies, which through Amazon is printing on demand designs that we put up. You can get the old Carl's genre shirt and some other shit. And we got some stuff in there quick, but we haven't really added anything to it in a bit. But yeah, if you look in the Twitter bio, you'll see it. Anyway, if you can get this for this kind of money, man, it is such a great compilation because you're getting all the B-sides and EPs and bonus track, all this stuff that was floating around these albums. They had an EP, around the same time as They Might Be, and this is like their early, like weird novelty kind of stuff. But Lincoln is just so good, and especially the B-sides and the EPs that were around it. So I mean, this thing sews up everything right up to Flood, if you're interested in this band. And then Flood, which you see here for $2.99, was really their crossover big one because of this novelty song, Istanbul, Not Constantinople, but also this really beautiful pop song called Birdhouse in Your Soul, which I absolutely love. There are some really funny stuff. And like, it wasn't just Istanbul, it was this one, Particle Man. This was like an actual legitimate novelty, nerd rock, MTV alt, quirky person hit. So this is one, if this was going to be a Target store for $2.99, absolutely. Flood is a great own. And I mean, look, I'm not like a huge, Tiny Toons music. It's totally a goof. I mean, this isn't like serious music, but they're such a unique band. I think you have to respect it. For me, having a bunch of kids, when they started doing the children's music, they're the band that started that. They're the band that made totally unique original content for children. It's like educational and fun and awesome. I love those DVDs, the ABCs and the 1, 2, 3s. Like, we burn those down. You can't even, they're like ruined. I'd have to buy them again if I wanted to watch them. But I have a ton of respect for that band. I bagged on them when I was a kid, when I was like, Mr. Goth, serious. Nobody could be funny in music. Isn't cool. You know, because I mean, I grew up with Dr. Demento and like legit like fish heads and shit, Novelty and Weird Al. So I mean, they weren't that clearly, and they had really good songwriting chops. Birdhouse in Your Soul is sick. I mean, I'm sure people have covered it, but if they haven't, there are so many like sort of anxious, nervy, quirky They Might Be Giants songs that are actually brilliantly written and would make phenomenal straight covers if you were going to look into it. Unforgettable Fire, yeah, Desire by U2 coming at you. I mean, this is a must. 290, 250, Bad. Come on, this is like I think it's as good as Joshua Tree in many respects. 249, get it. Come on, peak U2. I agree. And Connor would know. Whitney's debut. Oh man, that cover. I could read lots of hot takes about the cultural insensitivity or sensitivity of that cover, man. And Arista Records is just the darkest story, man. This label, I like dedicated Arista, Chrysalis. There are so many labels like this that were like formed during the peak of profitability for music that are so like awesomely sketchy and messed up. But you know, this is, you know, you're gonna get some good stuff in here. Obviously, one of the most classic ballads of all time. I had to sing this in school choir, and of course, you know, How Will I Know. So, I mean, Saving All My Love for You. I can't even. That song makes my hair fall out. Oh my god. We had a guy who redid TMBG on Casios. Oh, cool. Yeah, I mean, you kind of can't mess those songs up. Octung Baby, we were talking about this in the last stream. This is going to be the Jewel Case edition. Yeah, see, there you go. Oh, that's so ugly. The Island Spine is just the worst. Columbia's is better, for God's sake. The Epic Red on Columbia stuff is preferable to this. It's so hideous. But so this is not the version you want of this. But if you strictly just want the album and the music on it, okay. But there's a gorgeous, you know, infamous, gorgeous fold out. I mean, one of the early, you know, creative Digipack productions that broke with just, you know, being a fold out. The Digitrack, I guess they're calling it. That's weird. But yeah, this is the way to own this for sure. It's this big fold out, and they all fall apart and they're all screwed up. I have like 3 of them in various states of you know, physical quality. But I mean, absolute stone classic record. Just, I mean, it's so strong front to back. I mean, unless like Bono's, you know, voice makes your skin crawl, which is possible. If you have any patience at all for their whole style and their whole Eno period, which, you know, ends up getting cloned for Coldplay, this was the peak of that. It's got experiment. I mean, this is their Milo Xyloto, or Milo Xyloto is Coldplay's Octung Baby. And it was, you know, everybody that's in here knows that's one of my favorite records of the last like 20 years. The Nuggets single CD, this is a weird one. Rhino did this way back in '86. I think this predates the box. This is supposed to be like the initial 1 LP version released on CD. Obviously it's not the complete article, but for $3.90, for $4, you know, if you were going to make a card here, and you aren't familiar with Nuggets and you aren't familiar with these are like the big ones. Count 5, Seeds, like these, the Standells Pick on Me, like these are the big cuts from this whole Nuggets thing that went on for, you know, decades and is one of the big collector strains. It's overdone. I mean, yeah, the original iteration is just those. It's the single LP. The box was 93. There you go. Yeah, I mean, if you know, Children of Nuggets was what? It was the late 90s. That was too much. Ugh. But yeah, I mean, you know, Nuggets as a series is legendary. You know, it's like the American Encyclopedia of Folk or whatever the hell that was called. I mean, it's a really important, you know, preservation type thing. And this is like I was saying, the CD of the original single LP. What else do we got here? Tokyo Police Club. Get your mall emo on. In Spiral Carpets. Oh, talk about landfill artists over in the UK. This is from '94. Wow. Oh, brutal. So you can see here I have 2 of these just because literally the reason I got these, like they were $1 and it's just because of the cover. Like it's just to physically have and hold the cover because Americans of a certain age are not going to know this band had a massive breakthrough hit. It's a ballad called "This Is How It Feels," and it has like a 60s organ kind of sound that it became one of these emotional like football pitch. Like the Stone Roses, they're the theme, the unofficial theme of Man United. And, I don't know if a club uses this. I'm going to look over here. Yeah, they do suck, but this is how it feels. It's like there's another band called That Petrol Emotion right around this time had a song called Cellophane that similarly was a ballad, and it was really cool and original, and it called back to the 60s, which was still not cool. I mean, there was kind of a Jerry Bear revival in the late 80s, but like, I don't know. Anyway, This Is How It Feels and That Petrol Emotion, Cellophane are like really twinned for me as one-hit wonders from this period that were pretty original. But there's an interesting comment in the chat. That's true. It's literally the Police song Invisible Sun with different lyrics. I mean, it's also a really different presentation. But anyway, these guys were such also-rans during Baggy. I mean, they were bigger than like, what the hell were they called? Northern, what was that band with the plum on the cover? North Side. Fuck. But again, the baggy dance pop period is really interesting and funny. But this is not something you want to buy. This is after they had any even recognizable relevance to anything. Michael Jackson's Bad. Recommend getting the OG CD on this. You do not want remasters of MJ shit. It's all way too hot. It's way too punchy. You need the headroom on this because Bad's like all MIDI. And records like this, dance pop, late 80s records like Janet's Rhythm Nation 1814 from 90, all these records, you got to get the original CDs because it's part of their sound that they had such a low noise ceiling. And when that gets blown out by remastering, aka, exciting and compression and all the crap they do, awful. It just ruins it. And so anyway, if you don't have Bad, literally the goal of Bad, which is why you see 7,000 credits per song, was for every song to be a #1 single. That was their explicit intention. They wanted every single song on this album to go to #1. Obviously, Speed Demon didn't make it. But like, it's monstrous how big this record was. It wouldn't stop. I mean, by the time Leave Me Alone came out, I think it was like 92. I mean, I'm kidding, but it was just, this record went from 87 straight into 90 nonstop. Like they weren't even, it was totally unprecedented. They weren't even pretending that there was an album cycle coming after this. It was like, this is going to take 2 full years of singles, of big 6-month singles. Like Bad for 6 months, The Way You Make Me Feel for 6 months, Another Part of Me for 3 months, Man in the Mirror forever, I Just Can't Stop Loving You, Dirty Diana, Smooth Criminal. I mean, are you kidding me? It's ridiculous. What's my best soundboard option for Bad? I forgot about it again, man. Oh, jeez.
$70.
I gotta get better on that.
Pack of Winnie Blues. Get the
I
boys
fat-fingered
round.
it too.
Have
I
a
didn't
good
even have
night.
it set up right. Anyway, Fatima Mansions, that was interesting. They were around for a while. I won't get into that. So, Queens of the Stone Age for Go With The Flow. What do we got? No One, This Is the Song. Man, tag this, get it. I'd pay $5, I'd pay $10 for this. So anybody that's been around knows I love this. Uncle's remix of No One Knows is one of my favorite kind of, chop up collage, post DJ Shadow kind of things that's been done. And this is the radio edit too, which is killer. For $4.99, I would absolutely get this to get that song. There's other places you can get it. There's a longer mix of it, but yeah, you should be able to get these guys for nothing. I'm just not sure offhand where else this song is. So for me, I would consider taking that down to get that song on CD. Love it. Never Never Land was big album. Anyway. What else do we got here? Express. Oh man, yep. This is some seriously vintage. Find 'em, fool 'em, forget 'em. You know it. Was nothing to lose on this too? No, they added it. they must have added it because this, I think that was a standalone 12-inch. But anyway, the 645 version, okay. Yeah. All right. Well, interesting. I mean, honestly, these are some classic jams from the transition out of energy into like straight up mainstream house and shit. Um, what else? There's Cosmic Thing again. Total repeat offender. It's the right price too. 250. Um, Duran's greatest. I mean, you gotta you gotta get it because there's so many non-album singles and mixes. You need this Shep Pettibone mix of "I Don't Want Your Love." You need the 45 edit of "All She Wants Is." Like, yeah, you gotta get this. I mean, the cover sucks and it's annoying being industrial kind of greatest hit shit, but the single version of "Ordinary World" too, because that album version is just interminable. All these edits, these single edits, are just such the superior article. In I mean, I totally, and you get "View to a Kill" too, and the Reflex. These are standalones. I mean, awesome. It's just, I mean, it's a no-brainer. You got to get that. Um, I never buy CD singles because of how much space is on the CD. It's dumb. Well, I mean, those were the days. I mean, that sort of tells, that kind of gives the lie, right? That's such a tell on the music industry. Like they're selling you the music, not the medium. You're paying $5.99 for a CD single and $14.99 for a full length album. That's literally the exact same object. It just contains less music. It's silly, But nobody thought much about that at the time. Um, Not a Wilco fan. Oh, Bad 2. Talk about like pre-Nirvana dance pop. This is the one. So this is not a good album, but Rush and The Globe were the big Mick Jones from The Clash sample dance pop songs. They're awesome, but they have a greatest hits you can get for $1. Hold out for the greatest hits, because then you get some stuff from the early sort of legit records like Number 10 Upping Street, where they're doing like, super, super 85, 86, influenced by Detroit a little bit, but like he's got a really good producer and DJ on that early stuff. So to get the blend of it, you'd want to hold out for the greatest hits, because this album absolutely sucks apart from the two singles. And I think they're like, yeah, it's like a 6-minute slog of version of The Globe. So that's a no. But I mean, you're definitely coming out of the store with a bag. Yeah, the bad late Peru Boo Tim Kerr period. No. Vic Chestnut fans could get that. Ryan Adams. Yeah, you'll be able to get his discography cheap for a long time. Oh, the Duran singles box is sick with the night versions. Yeah. Doesn't that also have the mix? Or did they do the mix separately? Because they used to, they did a mix of like the songs they used to play, maybe at the Rum Runner, the club that they were out of in Birmingham. And it was really good. It's got a lot of good shit on it. They should be paying me to take Ryan Adams CDs. Come on. I mean, look, there's like 3 good ones, right? He had 3 good records. I mean, Heartbreaker, Gold, no, 2. Some people, I remember, no, didn't some people like rock and roll? I can't remember. I mean, Heartbreaker and Gold are good records, whatever. I didn't get into that bullshit. But yeah, this one is when he was doing the Cardinals or something, right? Or what was he doing? Um, I don't know. Yeah, I'm loudly not a Wilco fan. It's a rap, baby. Unfortunately, this isn't their really, really good stuff. Kick It is the only real banger on this. I think it's In Decline is okay, but they were so done by this point. This band, though, I absolutely love them. They fell off really with the album even before this, Ebhead, but great. They were like a continuity from kind of DAF and what they called EBM, electronic body music, coming out of Germany in the early '80s. They were like the dominant like Teutonic industrial band. Leibach and Nitzareb and a couple others. I mean, like Ministry's like sleazy. It's got a lot of Rob Zombie and Dracula. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of like sleaze and Black Sabbath and sludge to Ministry, despite how insanely tight and fast and technical it is. It just not a lot of Ministry, especially after once you get to Land of Rape and Honey, is like it doesn't have the space. It doesn't have the really grating, punishing drum machines. That period, he was doing more like the really, cheesy goth stuff. And then Twitch is where he kind of breaks with it, and he's right in that kind of industrial spot. But he goes, guitar onslaught in a way that Nitzareb never did. They stayed totally electro and harsh as hell. Best of Bow Wow. Wow, $6.99. Come on, that hurts. Oh, but this is the really big one that has her solo stuff too when she did Fever. This has got everything. Go Wild in the Country, C30, 60, 90 Go. These are classics. I mean, obviously the cover I Want Candy made them famous, but they have really good jams for ages. Elimination Dancing, absolute monster classic. Aphrodisiac is good too. $6.99 is a little rich, but yeah, because it's the long one, it's probably worth it. I mean, they are a greatest hits band. I mean, look, there's like, yes, there's this whole cool story of Malcolm McLaren and how this was his project after the Sex Pistols, and he stole Adam Ant's band and made them Bow Wow Wow, and like there's lots of intrigue, and there were great songs because it was this big, like he's doing Duck Rock. There's this whole collaborative thing happening with lots of different people in Malcolm's universe, and Bow Wow Wow, definitely benefited from that. I mean, you got like the Marco Peronis of the world and Adam himself. We got two Peter Gabriel like major dad tears records here. We got So back up top, and now you get Us. This is the ultimate dad tier record, and I don't mean tier, I mean tier. This is like. Had a bunch of divorces. I'm banging Sinead O'Connor, and like this period is so emo. It's fucking awesome. Like he's so like old to be doing pop music. You look at the video for such a fucking good song, Digging in the Dirt. I mean, this shit is so original. This album is so heavy and good. Like fucking Secret World, the fretless bass on it. The song Love to Be Loved. Literally, I cry every time I hear it. Like, yeah, I'm wearing New Balance sneakers, bawling every time I hear it. And Come Talk to Me, too. Like, this is divorce rock non-pareil. No one has written a divorce rock concept album as powerful as Us. It's a must fucking own. It's one of the best productions you'll ever hear because it's real world, right? He's in the middle of doing Passion, the soundtrack to Last Temptation of the Christ, and working with all these incredible musicians from all over Africa and everywhere else in the goddamn world. And I mean, just there's nothing that sounds like this record. The drums, the distance of the instruments is absolutely nuts. You got a duet with Sinead O'Connor. There are two, I think, duets with her. It's such a fucking good record. I mean, yeah, Kiss That Frog sucks. And Steam too. Like the two attempts at singles absolutely fall on their ass. This is like his Disintegration, The Cure, you know what I mean? Like this is his absolutely bleak, fucked up, heavy drinking record where he's just like, and if you see pictures of him around this time, like when he's with Sinead O'Connor walking around at award shows and shit, he's like super puffy and wearing vests, that whole fucking move, like blouses and vests. Oh, it's so fucking good, man. I mean, he's such a knob. It's great. And the guy's a fucking genius. I don't even know how to say it. Like, it's the biggest joke ever for a record geek to be talking about Peter Gabriel. But, I mean, the guy absolutely hit me in a way that, like, nobody has. The song Mercy Street from So, to this day, is one of the only pieces of music ever that can make me remember what I felt like when I was like 13 or like 12. Like nothing can still make me feel or remember. There's very, very few songs that still work in that way, and he's got one of them. Whoa. Oh, Pop, Jesus. This record. Whew, this is really bad. I mean, just, there's not even a good song on this. It's so bad. I don't know if this is the worst U2 album. It's definitely in the running. Holy crap. That record is just such an absolute piece of shit. It's shocking. I mean, it's their amnesiac, essentially. Like, I mean, because it's coming off Zooropa and it was leftover shit from Zooropa that they didn't finish. I mean, Numb and Lemon, Stay was a big hit. Um, I mean, this album did okay, but it kind of sucked. And then they just had nothing and they crapped out Pop and it was just atrocious. Yeah, it's a coaster. I mean, it's so bad. Passengers is worse. I mean, Passengers is really bad. Um, Yeah, and then you don't need me to talk about this. If you're interested in my opinions on wild mood swings, and I have many, look up the Shallow Rewards podcast on Spotify. Shallow Rewards. That's the name I used to use for my blog back in the 2000s, and then I did some videos in the 2010s, early 2010s before I left the internet. And I still do once in a while put out a podcast on there on Spotify and Apple Music under that Shallow Rewards name. And I've been doing all the Cure albums. And the Wild Mood Swings one is really fun because, well, I mean, some people have been upset by it, but I like totally go off on and take a crap on the album because it's indefensible garbage. Stone Free, I mentioned in the Wild Mood Swings podcast because this has Robert's, like, I don't know why it says drums Boris Williams. It's a fucking drum machine. But this is when the band had broken up and like Perry is the only guy who's working with him because Simon's checked out and everybody's left. And he does this it's actually neat. It's just too long. There is a shorter single mix. I think it's on the Join the Dots, this version on the Cure's Join the Dots box set of B-sides. But it's a cool idea and it's got cool loops and it's a cool, vintage early 90s drum machine loop. But, that's the rest of this. Man, you want to hear some early 90s Pain. Whoo, yeah, this hurts. The Spin Doctors version of Spanish Castle Magic. The Pretenders Bold as Love is good. And then you also got PM Dawn's Got Me Floating. So PM Dawn had a great first, this is so embarrassing. Oh my God, Bellies, are you experienced? But PM Dawn's first album of the millennium or something, it's a crazy like consciousness hip hop record with a like, 80-word title, but they sampled Spandau Ballet. It's true, and they made this awesome dance pop classic with the Enigma beat or whatever you want to call it. I forget which that is actually sampled from. It's not the Amen break, but it's one of those famous it's the 16th hi-hat with an open. Anyway, PM Dawn were really cool for a minute. Actually, I think they had like 2 really strong singles on that first album, and then they just went off on another planet. Living Colors, Crosstown Traffic, Studio Heads and Shredders will find something to love there. A very technically tight band. Body Counts Hey Joe is actually pretty fun too. So anyway, this is, if you've never heard it, for $2.50, I would get that. That's great. Reality used to be a friend of mine, you know it. Oh yeah, the Replacements Goo Goo Dolls period. So the Goo Goo Dolls, people don't know, started out on Metal Blade Records, one of the cheesiest fucking labels ever, and they were literally just a facsimile of the Replacements, but like cheesier and poppier. So like There You Are was the big hit on this. I mean, I think literally in this video they're wearing like a backwards baseball hat and all that shit. This record's, but I'm kidding. This record's not bad. I mean, it's the Goo Goo Dolls. So yeah, it's fluff. I mean, this is like at this time, I would compare it. I mean, whatever. Some people think Mudhoney's fantastic. Mudhoney is like a dumber, sludgier, shittier version of the same Impulse. But the Goo Goo Dolls at this point, this is like you look back now on what's happened to power pop and what's happened to, pop punk even. Like this record's on it. Like, I mean, honestly, all the people listening to new pop punk shit, this is exactly as cheesy as like the shit MGK is trying to do or whatever in his pop punk songs. So I mean, yeah, $4.99. I mean, it's on Metal Blade. This is the other thing too. This is another one of those ones where like, I'm not sure how many copies of this there are. You think there's an infinite supply. Metal Blade Records wasn't pressing 50, 75, 100,000 copies of this, I don't think. And a lot of CDs got thrown away and broken and just whatever. It was a disposable medium. So I wouldn't, look that in the mouth. For $5, I'd probably take it down. I'd get it. Oh, there it is. The Cursed Woodstock 94 comp. Like, it's so weird. They have Bob Clearmountain doing like on the original. It's so weird. You got Joe Cocker back to do "Feeling All Right." Yeah, Super Muff is awesome. I love that. No, well, Mudhoney, once they got signed, everything got fucked up. The label fucked with them. Every band says that. You know, oh, the label put pressure on us. We didn't know what to do. Get the fuck out of here. They couldn't write songs anymore. It happens to all of them. It happened to Screaming Trees. It happened to everyone out there. This, I can't even imagine how bad this is. I've never heard it. But I mean, it's live recordings of Woodstock 94 by all the fucking bands that were at this shithole. And I mean, I wouldn't have gone near this with a 10-foot pole. I don't know. Is this version of Biko rousing in some way? I don't know. I mean, I actually don't think Biko is, I think it's overcooked. I've never been a huge fan. But man, you know, Woodstock 94 wasn't Woodstock 99, but it wasn't much better. The artists were just rough. There we go again. Cardigans, First Man on the Moon. That's the total repeat offender. Take It Down. Hey, there's Joshua Tree. You can get that with Unforgettable Fire, and you got like Peaky, and they have Octung too, even though it's the jewel case version. That's right there. Boom, boom, boom. You got the 3 strongest U2 albums all right in one store for nothing. For $10, you got Unforgettable Fire, Joshua Tree, and Octung Baby. I mean, done. On physical, rip it to flak, done. You've got it forever. Robert Plant's Now and Then. Oh yeah. So, little known fact, potentially not little known, potentially well known for the 20 people or whatever that are actually here, already probably know. This is the first CD I ever bought. This is the first CD I ever bought. This, The Cure's The Top, and Living Colour's debut album, Vivid, were the first 3 CDs I got, I think for my birthday. So the single on this is a great joke. So I don't even know how to point you to this. If you Google top 500 best show or something, I uploaded this awesome bit Andrew Earls did for the best show on WFMU with Tom Sharpling. And he's a radio jock that's making the top 500 songs for Memorial Day weekend. And I mean, I won't spoil the gag, but anyway, Tall Cool One charts extraordinarily high in his list. And I mean, so this is a really awkward, hilarious thing. If you go look at the video for Tall Cool One, Robert Plant is like, he's shirtless in a leather vest, like trying to get his machismo out there at whatever fucking age with this corny ass backing band. And it's got like, if there's any guitarists in here, man, the funniest like learn to play guitar lick in the chorus of this. It's just the funniest 2-finger. It's just like A, B, B, A, and then you move the same finger formation to the D and down and bend off. It's so funny. And I mean, when you listen to it now, it's incredibly painful. And the craziest thing is there's a dance club 12-inch remix of Tall Cool One that has a rap in the middle. Someone raps for like 2 minutes in the middle of Tall Cool One. But there's a really big ballad on here called Ship of Fools, and essentially this points the way to what Robert Plant figured out how to do it, which was pair up with Alison Krauss and start writing some hardcore, you know, J. Crew rock. It starts with Manic Nirvana, but this was an early kind of like window into something he didn't really solidify until significantly later. I got to figure out why all this weird stuff is showing up. I screwed up something in my filter because none of this should be showing up. I don't know why these... I'm going to have to look into it later. Anyway, so yeah, Ship of Fools is this like super cheesy 80s ballad. Yeah, and that's the other thing that's really funny about it. But, you know, nobody knows that. So yeah, I mean, somebody was just calling out on the chat. This is Tony Halliday. At this time, she had just done a solo record called Hearts and Handshakes that had a song called, it's funny how time catches up with you, something or other. It's so, Alan Moulder did it. This is right before Alan Moulder becomes Mr. Cool and starts doing the Jesus and Mary Chain's pop record, Automatic, and gets all the shoegaze bands and all that shit. Like, Tony Halliday was a major label property. She was Dave Stewart from the Eurythmics founder, She got a huge deal with this band called State of Play. I talk about this in the shoegaze videos I had done years and years ago. Again, Shallow Rewards was this thing, and I did these DSLR videos about shoegaze around 2012. And in it, I talk a lot about Curve, because Curve's first album was one of my favorites, and I talked about it even in the last stream. But Tony Halliday had been this really cheesy, awful 1985 synth band called State of Play. And then that totally fucking blew out. She tried a solo record that Alan Moulder had a heavy-handed. They ended up getting married years later. And yeah, Kirsty MacColl and her, she started doing a lot of background vocals, and she appears on this. She's one of the backup singers, I believe, on Tall Cool One. So pretty interesting fact that does not make that album any better. It's not a good album, but you know, it was one of the first CDs I ever owned. Residence fingerprints. So you know, this is late period Residence, but Residence fans are their own breed. I don't really go in for them. This is major landfill. Erasure's Chorus. This is just everywhere. Massively overproduced by Mute and Sire in the US. Not one of their stronger albums in my view. I would not pick this up, to be honest. Fingerprints. I thought that was it's the third album? Holy crap, why did I think this was after Eskimo? Okay, my mistake. So this is actually early Resonance, but again, it's like, what is early Resonance? It's on everything, they're different. I was totally wrong about when this came out, sorry. This is obviously the reissue, but this whole thing is not for me. Like the Resonance thing, it doesn't do it for me. So, you know, but yeah, I mean, yeah, if that East Side reissue was any good, this is definitely late period Tangerine Dream. No, I'm kidding. So, Cyclone, you know, everybody has their favorite. You know, some people think it's Zate, some people think it's Stratosphere, blah, blah, blah. You know, but by the time you're getting up here, it's you know, it's a weird one. I don't have it. I haven't collected much Tangerine Dream physically, but you know, it's from '78. It's the 10-year reissue on CD. You know, it's a lot of people think it's one of their stronger records for sure. But Stratosphere is the one for most people, yeah, for sure. I like Cyclone fine. For $3.99, yeah, I would probably get this. I mean, this is like the big, long, chunky period. Like they've gone through and done like, you know, so much stuff to this point. They're getting very like mature in their whatever approach to things. I mean, then they start doing Thief and Firestarter and all this stuff and that I love, which is more kind of snack size. But this is maybe like that, you know, maybe it's Force Majeure. I don't think that one's that great, but this is like the sort of coda, right when they do Sorcerer. This is like the finale of their original sort of, you know, operatic approach. And this is an OG Virgin CD from '88, probably the first issue of it on CD. So you're going to have a good, you know, very mellow mastering job. The Bono Gavin Friday single. Oh boy. Yikes. Yeah, so when was Passengers? 96? It's just then after Octung Baby, man, it really goes off the rails for him. The Judgment Night soundtrack, Eternal. You are going to get... Whoa, what? Wow. That's pretty cool. $6.99. I mean, I don't give a crap about promo, not promo, whatever. This was interesting. This is when they got, you know, when Cobain made DGC reissue all the Raincoats records, they got back together and did this album, and it's sealed, $6.99. That's kind of cool. I mean, it's not earth-shattering. It's not, you know, it's not like Audi Shape or the debut or even, you know, the one with like No One's Little Girl. But For $6.99, that's a take. But yeah, the Judgment Night soundtrack must. $2.99's fine, especially if it's in good condition. Yeah, VG Plus. This is a must. There's so many good, funny, but also legit great jams. So the joke here was rock band and rap artist. Just Another Victim, Helmet, House of Pain is probably the best. But I also love The Fallen. It's really, really good. It's such a good blend of De La and Teenage Fan Club's in there. They've got their like power pop sound in there right alongside De La. It's really, really good. And there's a bunch of other hilarious shit on here, like the Sonic Youth shredder, like, noise peppered version of I Love You, Mary Jane. Not sure about Mudhoney and Sir Mix-a-Lot's Freak Mama, or this is a bummer because Del the Funky Homo Sapien was blown up good. And then, yeah, I don't even remember if the Therapy one was any good because this is a weird period for Therapy. But anyway, Biohazard and Onyx, Judgment Night, that's fun. Onyx, not an artist you hear much about anymore. But yeah, for $2.99, this is The Crow, there were a whole bunch of these soundtracks. This was the big thing coming out of the success, really, of Dazed and Confused, selling classic rock to a new generation. All of a sudden, people were like, soundtracks are like a super good value prop to get people to buy, and get our artists promoted. It's a great promotional tool to get artists out there. And so Judgment Night was a legendary effort at this. And like the person who put it all together, was it Amanda or I can't remember what. Yeah, Boogie Nights. She did Boogie Nights. It was Karen, and she's famous. She's one of the biggest music supervisors ever. This is the record that like totally made her. She had done Reservoir Dogs, and that was like hip because of the movie, and that made her name. But like this made it like holy shit. She's enormous. And then she just did everything. Reality Bites, Pulp Fiction, like you name it, she did it. Yeah, so she's one of the biggest music supervisors ever. And she started the whole thing and was deeply partnered with Tarantino from the word go. But yeah, this was the one that was like, okay, she didn't just do like a cool indie movie soundtrack. She changed the fucking game. Like she changed the music industry's attitude for the rest of the 90s based totally on the success of Judgment Night. It was nuts. Zoso 13 limited. What is this? $3.99. What is this? Enhanced box set limited edition numbered. Fucking, I've never even seen this. For $3.99, this is complete? Get it? I mean, Trim Trab's maybe my favorite. Not this. I like the live one where they go ape shit and it has the big explosion at the end. But there's so much good stuff on this. I mean, No Distance Left to Run is the big, drama, emo. People love, Tender and Coffee and TV. Yeah, I mean, this is a total get for $3.99. It's a limited paper shell box. Hell yeah. Get it. There's the real cover. That's a must. Don't need it because I got the Blur box. Major repeat offender. XTC's None Such. This album was... So I have another call out to the podcast. I did a two-part podcast on Andy Partridge and XTC. Well, really XTC, but because in the mid-'80s he goes sideways and sort of takes over the band, it's a lot about him, inferences and Psych 101 bullshit that I make assumptions about him. But None Such is this really horrific thing that the major, like Virgin just beat the shit out of this band. They beat him to death. And the problem is this album has like 19 tracks. I mean, it's stupid long. 17 tracks. And it's over an hour long. Like, it's such a mistake because there are good songs in here. Principally, the lead single, The Ballad of Peter Pumpkinhead, has one of the coolest drum productions of this time period. It's a great XTC harmony chorus, upbeat. It's that jaunty XTC thing they do. Really recommend it. There's other good stuff on here. The Disappointed, Rook is another sort of like mellow classic. But it's just so goddamn long, and the songs are all really long for the most part. It's got a weird, shorter period in the end, but... Oh, good. We got rated. Hold on, let me dump this porn bot in the chat. Whee! Yeah, you literally can't even go on anything anymore without it happening. I mean, it's crazy. There's barely anybody watching. We still got porn bots. Yay! Way to go, YouTube. But yeah, I mean, for $3.99, honestly, if you look around the singles from this, I think Pumpkinhead and there's others, you can get them for like $1 and they're good. They ended up on, other, comps or whatever. What the hell is this? Okay. I thought this might have been a television bootleg that they were trying to get under, but it's what looks to be an iconically hilarious German goth band from 1992. Yeah, way too much filler. Absolutely. Don't worry about reporting the comments. I ban them. It's fine. It's easy. I just have to actually look over and notice it. The Lonesome Jubilee, everybody knows I'm a big Johnny stan, but this album's not great. Paper and Fire and Cherry Bomb is about it. The end of this album is really rough. It's just way too Farm Aid. Like, even though Scarecrow is the Farm Aid record, this one's it's just a little hoary and too much with the Americana sauce. Rudy Toot Toot's okay, but like, yeah, this is not one of his strongest records. Greatest hits, The Hoop. Come on, $2.99. You gotta. All the young dudes, baby. And it's 03, so it's going to be a remaster for the digital era. I mean, it's a cutout, but, The Hoop is totally a singles band. You don't need any more than this. One of the Boys of Sweet Jane on the bonus. Done. Get it. You're fine. Get that. I mean, don't worry about it. Oh, yeah, John Cougar was one of the people who started Farm Aid. This ridiculous bullshit in the mid-'80s. Google it. Downward Spiral, near mint, appears unplayed. Nice. The mega Trent record, the absolute goth 90s electronic goth masterpiece. I mean, what can you say? Like, you get March of the Pigs, you got Closer, you got fucking Hurt. Boom. Hurt's so ridiculous, man. I can't believe this guy wrote Something I Can Never Have and Hurt. Like, I mean, it's fucking sick. Look, he wasn't a good singer. Let's just get that out of the way. Trent Reznor has never been a good singer. But man, when you talk about somebody who's just really mid in terms of their talent, actually just like powering through that shit and coming up with like such original material, I was never even a huge fan of the guy because I've told the story about at Lollapalooza what a prick he was and how his whole whiny whatever thing. It's just, I was a Ministry person. Ministry was my shit. Drugs, fuck yeah, man, crazy, out of control, guitar noise, turn it up. Thieves and liars, yeah, nihilism. This is so emo. Trent's always been so emo. And Pretty Hate Machine was like too drama club goth for me, even at the time. I loved Head Like a Hole. Like, that song fucking slays, but I was a little on the fence, and still, I mean, to this day, it's never been a big record for me. But people who are like, 5 years younger than me, I mean, I'm like last year of Gen X. Millennials that are, older millennials, this is God shit. Like, this, everything, like, you guys start crying when you fucking hear this. And I know you do. The Broken EP is killer, yeah. Yeah, Wish fucking rules. Broken is goated for sure. I've got 2 copies of it. But I forgot. This is why I started adding stuff to my collection in Discogs, because like 3 different times I bought something I already had, and I was just like, "You're out of your fucking mind. Get your shit together." All right, we're gonna try to keep this to an hour. Oh my God, what? Creep? Wow, did not expect to see this. This was a flop sub pop thing. What was the guy's name? Wow, this band like just died on their ass. They did 1 record with Sub Pop and just broke up. I don't even think he did anything else. Oh, he was in Swallow before this. That's what it was. Which is not the shoegaze Swallow. This is a totally different band. Wow, that's funny. I mean, I just remember this because I was alive then, and like it was Sub Pop, and it's not. I don't think it's good. I'll listen to it later. It's probably like super boring, bad grunge. I don't know. Can I click the album cover? Yeah, sure. It's a doggo. You're a baby. You're a good baby. But yeah, this is 92, man. Sub Pop was not doing good. Chris Pugh. Jean-Michel Rendezvous, Jean-Michel. Yeah, talk about another one. We were talking about Tangerine Dream. You can really go back. So yeah, people who are in the Discord I'm in know I found the OMR of this that goes for like 200 plus bucks at a used store, and I'm holding on to that shit. But yeah, I actually have it. It's one of the craziest, probably highest ticket records I have, is the OMR of that record. Anyway, oh my God, Guitar and Other Machines, not his best, but a really good record. Durutti Column, Vinnie Riley, one of my faves. So this is the period when he's writing maybe Morrissey's Viva Hate and working with Morrissey, and he does the Guitar and Other Machines at the same time. Unfortunately, it's very noticeable that he's got too much going on. It's not one of his strongest records. It's also the Venture version, which is, you really want these factory once reissues, but they're getting to be hard to find. I really don't know how many they pressed. But yeah, you got a good, we opened up, we found we looked at an obscure record as an indicator, or a record that's like in a wheelhouse that indicates the store is going to have the kind of stuff that you're looking for, maybe. Die Toten Hosen, nice. Learning to Crawl, that's a must. $2.99, take that shit down. Middle of the Road and Back in the Chain Gang, are you kidding me? Time the Avenger, and 2,000 Miles. I mean, this record is so solid. That's an absolute must. Oof. $2.99 for the Sire CD of that. Yeah, you got a bag out of here. Missing. Everything But the Girl's Missing comes up a lot. Pearl Jam's Verses. That's, oof. Don't Call Me Daughter. This record sucks. The first song, Go, I was actually like, oh man, wow, they're coming out hot. Like, they want to tighten it up and dump all that reverb and shit off the first album, and this might not be it. Nope, sucks. Like, I got past the first song and I was like, this is awful. It goes, oh shit, done. Get it in your bag. This is the absolute, you have to have this. You have to have Mania. This is the record that got everybody my age into the Ramones. They were so fucking not cool. You were seeing them on, you were seeing them doing the Pet Sematary soundtrack. The Ramones were like a goof. They were like not taken seriously. And because we didn't have the old records, they weren't out, they weren't like getting promoted. So they did this big comp, and it's just, man, it's 30 fucking songs of perfection all in a row. Like, for somebody my age, this is probably how you heard the Ramones, and like, you expect to hear Teenage Lobotomy after I Want to Be Sedated. You expect to hear, I Want to Live after Sheena's a Punk Rocker because of this record. It's totally iconic, and maybe that won't mean anything if you're not, sort of like older Gen X or from my era. But $4.99, if you don't have a big Ramones collection, get in on that. Paying more than $1 for Songs of Faith and Devotion is questionable. Same with the Immaculate Collection, but those are both buys. Cranberries, I mean, give me a break. That's ridiculous. Bonzo Goes to Bitburg, you bet. Song absolutely shreds. Ooh, there's a good one. That's interesting. I'd take that down. So this is a compilation that they put out when they signed Morphine from Boston. So this is one of the first DreamWorks Records signings, if I'm not wrong, if I'm remembering this right. Morphine was one of the first bands on DreamWorks Records, and this is a sample with like all the great shit from Good, Cure for Pain, and Yes, which were on Ryko. You got Thursday, In Spite of Me, that beautiful ballad, Have a Lucky Day. I love this band. I mean, it sucks that he died relatively young. These guys were great. They're such an original, cool, head band in so many ways. Morphine and like Come was around at that time in Boston. Bands that were really playing with like dirty, dark blues stuff and like, drug shit, but really cool musical stuff, not just like, goth or whatever. Yeah, well, we didn't get all the way through the store. I didn't A to Z it because realizing in the first stream, A to Zing is like not really lending itself to a diversity of commentary. Just took it down random. You Are the Quarry. Yeah, nice. Yeah, so we'll end. Oh, shit, The Cult's Electric. Aphrodisiac Jacket. It's not a great record, but Love Removal Machine and Aphrodisiac Jacket are absolute fucking bombs. And their cover of Born to Be Wild is not bad. It's really not. This album's great. It's not the one, but it's still good. Man, you got to get that. What noise? I don't know. Did I accidentally hit the thing? Did I accidentally hit the stream deck thing? Oh well. All right. Well, it's we're after 8 o'clock. Oh, there's Culture Club's Color by Numbers. Get it. I don't want to stuff too much in one stream. We got to say I'll talk about these records on other streams. I groaned. Oh, okay, whatever. Sorry. Yeah. So we're gonna shut this one down. Box it, just a straight up shop for an hour, and we're done. And so it's going to be Thursdays, 7 o'clock Eastern Time, US, and Sundays, 2 o'clock. That's the idea. End it on War to bring it circle with you too. No. We'll get into that later. You know what I'm saying?
You're fucking joking.
So anyway, we'll see you Sunday too, and we'll get into it. Again, all right. So I'm going to shut this stream down. And that'll be that. Thursday, it says it in the thing. Thursdays at 7 at night at Eastern and Sundays at 2.
I'm not fucking on heroin.
Okay. Do I stop the stream?